My name is Derek Morgan. I am with Spacelift. We are an infrastructure as code management company. And it looks like that HDMI might be a little finicky. Just let me know if that disappears and I'll make sure we keep that going. Probably going to let you guys get to lunch pretty quick, so do my best to help this go pretty quick. Basically what we're going to talk about is managing infrastructure as code and kind of some of the things that you may not have thought about outside of running Terraform apply just from a command line. There's obviously a lot that goes into it once you start actually dealing with real scale, and a lot of different developers, especially collaboration, can be a huge pain. So let's take a quick look. My name is Derek. I started with a lot of on-prem stuff, worked in managed hosting, blah, blah, blah. I've dealt with everything from Exchange, dealt with Ansible, Puppet, Chef, all of that. I've created some online courses. Don't know if any of you have seen them, but you ought to. I recommend them. And basically, as most of you probably know, I assume that's why you're here, you know that infrastructure as code has basically revolutionized the industry. It has absolutely exploded. ClickOps, of course, is fun to do. Your first time through AWS, it's wonderful, but at the end of the day, it's absolutely not scalable. It's possible to maintain drift and your state and everything else. Let's talk a little bit about those limitations. Now, today we're going to mostly talk about Terraform, since it is the most popular. CloudFormation, of course, is huge. Pulumi is big. But Terraform really is the elephant in the room. So resource management and cost, of course, is one of the largest issues, especially at scale. TF state management, since it does store pretty much everything that's important to your industry, secrets, everything else. That's also very difficult. Now, if you've got a lot of devs and they're all working from their local machines, you can have all sorts of issues. As we might have remembered a few years ago when AWS S3 actually went down for several hours, it was a configuration error, just one wrong command, basically brought down the internet. So it's not hard to do that, especially when you're letting everybody just kind of go cowboy on the CLI. It's kind of a big deal. This is just a little example I just grabbed from one of our blogs. Basically, infrastructure as code starts to get really complicated once you deal with a lot of stacks. Start dealing with a lot of state files, a lot of devs battling each other, trying to deploy different things that have different dependencies, et cetera, et cetera. So, as we kind of mentioned, client compliance can get kind of crazy with security. You've got different teams trying to work on different things, and you've got to manage how those teams talk to each other. You've got to ensure the security works, all of that. Kind of cover that in all these steps here. And then, of course, at the end, you've got cost. So we've got a lot of really cool tools that you can use. A lot of open source stuff out there. Spacelift actually utilizes some of those open source ones, if you'd like. But, of course, Spacelift does work pretty well. Not going to lie, I like it a lot. But really, the big issues you've got, automation is, of course, huge. Just running from the CLI is not going to work when you've got hundreds of thousands of lines of Terraform code. Policy as code is very important, ensuring that everything you run is managed properly and enforced and doesn't break any of the rules you have set. Collaboration, devs working over each other. Got a lot of pull requests, merge issues, conflicts, that type of stuff becomes quite a nightmare. Resource management and drift. Again, you get that one dev that decides to hop into the console and start poking around. Security group rules, things like that, becomes an absolute nightmare. Then, of course, as I've mentioned before, cost management. As we all know, that is a very, very, very big concern for most people. So some of the tools that you may or may not have used: GitHub, GitLab, Spacelift, of course, I love. Atlantis, Jenkins, those are really the heavy hitters in the industry. Jenkins is great. It's a little bit of a sledgehammer at times when maybe if you want a scalpel. Of course, you can do a lot of damage with Jenkins if you'd like, but it can also be used very well. Now, you've got policy as code, some of those tools. Open Policy Agent is great. TFSec is great. Sentinel, of course, is the Terraform or the HashiCorp managed policy as code. gets a little expensive. You should start using that. Then, of course, you've got collaboration and accountability issues. As you can see there, some wonderful AWS keys. I'm sure at least one of you in here has seen that show up in a repository before. I know I have. Luckily, AWS let me off with a warning, but we don't have to go into that. So policy as code is pretty great to keep that type of stuff from happening. And again, accountability, that code history, maintaining all the pushes to your repositories, understanding who did what and how. Resource management, you can obviously use a lot of AWS tools, GCP tools, Azure, whatnot, to manage your resources, understand what's going on. You can analyze your state files using tools such as driftctl and Cloud Query that will allow you to see what has changed and what's caused it to change, and even who made that change, which of course is very important. And then we got cost. Infra cost and Terraform cost estimation are two of the main ones that you can find out there. Infra cost, of course, if you've used it, is phenomenal for taking a look at what's going to change and how much that is going to cost. So anyway, that's the slides. I'm not really a big slide guy, to be honest. We're going to hop in and we're going to do a little demo. Again, I'm going to use Spacelift, of course, because that's what's on my shirt. But we are going to poke around with like InfraCost and a few others. These tools are ones that you can use. You can actually bolt together your own Spacelift if you want to. I do recommend using us, but again, this will kind of show you some of the ways and some of the ways that people do manage their infrastructure. Let's take a quick look. I've actually built a fun, if it opens, there we go. I actually built some Terraform code. Not a whole lot here. We're basically just deploying an EC2 instance. Again, this isn't exactly a giant scale operation, but didn't really have the budget to launch thousands of instances here for a conference.
Can you make that bigger? Yeah.
I think I can. Yeah, let me take a look. Display settings. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I was just checking to make sure that I was in the right resolution. Yeah. Bam, there we go. Good?
Yeah, that's good.
Perfect. All right, so again, got some code here. What I'm going to do is just push that over to a repository that I've set up for that. We're going to use Spacelift. We've got a stack here that's set up. Let me make that a little bit larger as well. And what this stack is this stack is going to connect to that repository, and it's going to manage my state for me, which again, one of the most important things that you can do is manage your state properly. S3 buckets are great, but of course, as we all know, people do not like to put the right permissions on S3 buckets, and stuff gets leaked all the time. So let's go ahead and take a look. So let's just say I am a dev. I'm in my dev branch. Oh, we'll just change a thing. Let's just change the subnet here, I think. There we go. And my mouse is freezing, so 1 second here. Not something I expected to go wrong. So, I guess that's what I get for using a Mac, huh? There we go. Okay, we are going again. I think. Whew. Hey, Pavel, where'd we get these laptops from?
I've seen this with the embedded terminal sometimes.
Yeah.
Just open up the terminal and navigate to it.
Yeah. Yeah, it must just be with, I've been using this actually all day, so it must have something to do with the display. Or I just won't edit anything and just do an empty commit if I have to. It's not really a big deal.
For me, this is why screens became
I'm sorry?
I blew up a demo and couldn't get it going again. That's why people go with the screens, it doesn't break.
Yeah. Yeah, I've actually, this is the first time I've used this laptop for a presentation and have never experienced this. So here we go. It's all part of the fun, right?
We're doing it live.
Exactly. I want to say the rest of that comment right now, but I won't. There we go. All right, we got something. I'll just do an empty commit. I won't even bother with it. Keyboard froze up. That sounds like a good name. All right. So we'll head back over here. So if I head to my repository, I've got my branches here. I can actually open a pull request if I'd like. And as we can see, of course, everybody knows how Git works, I assume. We've got our pull request right there. Create that pull request. And right now what's happening is spacelift. We'll check that out. We can actually go and see our PRs here, which is great. As you can see, it runs a plan, runs infra cost. I can see exactly what everything's going to cost right here in my output. So again, infra cost is something that is just absolutely phenomenal to use whenever you're dealing with multiple devs trying to push multiple things. Head over, take a look at my checks. We've got a cool little infra cost table right there ready to go, so we can see exactly how much this stack is going to cost once I merge it in. So everything, as you can see, looks good. The plan was successful. I've actually got a plan policy right here that was written in Rego, which, from what I hear, is not something everybody likes, but I'm pretty adept at it at this point. So if we try to make anything too expensive, over $100, basically it's going to bomb the plan. Right now everything works out well though. I can head back over to my stack. And we can merge that request, confirm, and that puts it in the main and starts our run. There we go. Infra cost is checked again. It will check against policies again, everything once again to make sure that it works. Shouldn't take too long here. Again, just a little EC2 instance. Should kick it off pretty quick. Perfect. Gives me an opportunity to confirm, make sure that everything's going to go well. You can also add comments on this if you'd like. Confirm that. And you can actually see a history of the runs, which again, that comes to that accountability thing. We can actually see who is running everything. We know who to yell at if something goes wrong, something gets too expensive, etc. Now, if you're wondering how I'm authenticating to AWS, I've actually got a portable environment variable file here. Everything is, of course, encrypted, not just hashed, which is great. We'll go back over here to our run. Everything is applying just fine. Now, while that's applying, we've got another dev who's going to hop in there and start causing some problems. Let's go ahead and maybe we'll get lucky here. I just need this one file. Come on, just one file. I was thinking about it, but we're so close. We're so close. I'm going to hope we get lucky here. Let's go ahead and just kick out a 2x large and see what happens with that. Almost done here. There it is. We've got a nice little EC2 instance. Everything is ready to go. Then we've got the Cowboy dev. It is trying to deploy a 2x large, which again is against policy. Save that. Yep, everything finished perfectly fine, all good to go. We'll head back over. And we'll create another pull request. Make a little comment right there, create pull request. Let's take a look at the PRs and exactly what I was looking for. For once, a failure that I tried to include in this demo. So perfect. As you can see, our policy said, you know what, that was way too expensive. That is not going to work out at all. If I run over to the checks, as you can see right there, denied by the plan policy, which is perfect. So again, something that is very, very important when you're running things at scale, ensuring that your developers are not going to start blowing everything up by themselves while, again, running Cowboy.
What feedback did the developer get? Just from the PR?
Yeah, you can actually put the comments on the PR, request, everything else, close it, whatever you need to do.
I'm sorry, what did you say the policy was written in? What kind of?
Rego, R-E-G-O. It's an open policy agent. Is how we do it. Yep.
Is that something new, or is that out of?
You know, I'm not sure. A company called Styra actually, I believe, does it. It's open source.
It's open source.
Yeah, it's open source.
It's the Untitled project.
Yeah.
2 years old.
Yep. So we can nuke that pull request. Oops, can't spell. So we can head back, playing by the rules again, creates that pull request. Leave that comment. And we'll head back into Spacelift. And as you can see now, everything works perfectly. Everything is fine. So merge it. Of course, we haven't actually changed anything, so it'll merge in just fine. And we've got our new run prepared. And everything should kick off just like it needs to. No changes, exactly like we expected. So, I'm not going to lie, actually kind of a short presentation today. I'm going to open up for questions. As some of you may have noticed in the brochure, I am still actually listed as Sean Odell. So this was kind of a last-minute change. So I want to apologize for not filling an entire hour here. But happy to answer any questions you have. We talked some Terraform. Go ahead.
What happens if someone just runs Terraform apply and just on their local machine? How does the state manage that?
So, I mean, it depends, of course. They've got to authenticate. One of the great things about like Spacelift is you can, or again, Atlantis and a lot of the others, is you can actually manage who has access to that state. You can manage, like, for instance, these contexts. You can ensure your developers can't create contexts or access these keys in any way. So you would definitely want to make sure that that developer didn't have any access from their console at all. They would push to Git, and that's really all they would be allowed to do. Yep.
So can you give us the 10,000-foot overview of exactly what Spacelift does?
Yeah, so basically we connect to your GitHub, Bitbucket, GitLab repositories. And we do these things that we just showed you. We're basically running runners behind the scenes, which you saw, which will run Terraform. We've actually, a little hush-hush, we've got Ansible on the way. We can run kubectl. We can do a lot of other things as well. Pulumi, CloudFormation, whatever. You can also set up your own custom runners to run kind of whatever you need to. But again, 10,000 feet, we're basically running and managing your infrastructure as code, allowing you to create policies around that, et cetera.
You want to go a little bit further and show us how you define a pipeline?
I'm sorry?
How do you define a pipeline?
Oh, sure. We can set up a new stack if you'd like. So basically, we have a concept called stacks, and each stack is connected to a state file. So create a new stack. Hop in. We're authenticated to GitHub here, so I can connect to any one of these repositories. Then choose your branch. And then you can also, of course, choose your project root. So if you've got like a mono repo or you've got a lot of different folders in one repository, you're able to do that. Then for the back end, you can choose. Y'all won't see Ansible right now, but we've got Ansible, we've got Kubernetes, CloudFormation, Pulumi, and Terraform primarily. You can also run TerraGrunt. You can mess with your versioning here. If you've got an old version of Terraform, hopefully you're not at 0.12, but we do support it. You can choose to manage a state here. You can connect to a state file in S3 or wherever you'd like to store your state, but it is very convenient, of course, that we do manage that state.
Where do you store your state?
It's probably S3. Yeah, everything's basically managed. I think our entire stack's AWS, right? Yeah. And so the great thing about it too, this is you can define an administrative stack, which actually allows you to create more Spacelift resources. We have a full-fledged Terraform provider that can do everything you see right here, just within Terraform. You can also set more advanced options, and you can customize, and this is how we got that InfraCost going. So we actually added the InfraCost API and everything that we needed and applied that during the planning phase. So you can add different hooks you need. If you need to reach out to a vault or something like that, you can do all of that here with these custom hooks. And then basically just name it.
So how do you can you get the drift, one of the drift tools integrated in your tool also, or does that come through?
We do have drift detection enabled. Unfortunately, I didn't have a chance to get that set up with this stack, but we do have drift detection, and you can basically you set up a cron job. Within it, use cron expressions to determine how often you want to run. And what it does is it runs a plan against your stack, and then you can set it to auto remediate if you'd like.
Does that work the same way for CloudFormation? Do you use CloudFormation kind of drift?
How much do we have CloudFormation drift?
Well, yeah, you can, CloudFormation already has the
It has drift detection. It doesn't have the remediation, if I remember correctly. Right, but it does detect for sure. So yes, we do have that in as well. Oh, sorry.
So can you like chain multiple stacks together? So let's say you want to do Terraform
Yes.
first, and then
So can you chain multiple stacks together? Sorry, I keep forgetting to repeat your questions. Yes, you can. You can run trigger policies. One of the main things we're kind of seeing, again, with this Ansible rollout is a lot of people like to perform configuration management after they've run a Terraform stack. So you can set it up to automatically trigger another stack as soon as Terraform is done. It will, for instance, trigger Ansible to access that stack and configure whatever EC2 instances you've launched.
Would you mind walking us through that RICO policy?
Sure. Let's take a look. Yeah, so basically right here, walking through this RIGO policy, we've got our deny rule first. We've got a threshold set here, pretty straightforward. So what it does is it accesses the plan and it parses that plan. Threshold here is set at 100. Monthly cost set right here, and what it does is it allows you to access that plan, which you can do in our RIGO builder. We actually have a RIGO builder that allows you to dive in and access an existing plan and test different policies, which again is very helpful. Got a deny there, and then we also have a warn, which has a much lower threshold there. As you can see, if you get a warn, you'll pop up a warning, it'll add a comment, you'll see that it happened, but you can, of course, push it through if you need to. We've got this sample down here, and what that sample is does it allow you to take a look at it after the fact? And let's go and take a look. Take a look at the logs. All right, so we've got the plan policy here. That sample flag basically allows you to hop in and start analyzing it based on the input stack here. Now, we do sanitize most of the attributes that come out of a plan, but we have a function that you can use, basically an unsanitized function that will allow you to access these attributes whenever you need to. But you can kind of cut through this entire state here, and you can play with the different attributes, everything else, and you can hit simulate, and it'll tell you whether it passes or fails. All right. Any other questions?